if you say what you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave with what you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave.
So this case study is intended to not only provide information about the LGBTQIA college students, but also evaluate the services, programs, and resources available for students who identify as LGBTQIA at Arizona State University, and in particular at the Tempe campus, and how we can assist in future practices as higher education professionals through our findings and work with LGBT plus friendly student organizations and faculty.
For the beginning of our presentation, we wanted to start by going over some definitions for the acronym LGBTQIA. The first three stand for lesbian, gay, bisexual. The definitions are as follows. Lesbian is a woman whose primary sexual and affectional orientation is towards people of the same gender. Gay is a sexual and affectional orientation towards people of the same gender and can be used as an umbrella term for men and women. And a bisexual is a person whose primary sexual orientation is towards people of the same and other genders, or towards people regardless of their gender.
So the next two letters stand for transgender and queer. Transgender, which also can be abbreviated many times to trans, referring to trans men, trans women, etc., describes people whose gender expression or gender identity does not fit with their assigned sex at birth. And a lot of times we see transgender people undergo medical surgery or hormonal therapy in order to transition from a woman to a man or a man to a woman, things like that. However, not all transgender people undergo this medical procedure. The next one is queer, and queer is also a very large umbrella term that describes people whose gender expression or sexuality do not conform to the dominant expectations of society, and it really captures multiple aspects of identity. So the last two letters of the acronym are I and A. And I stands for intersex, and intersex is a general term that's used to describe a variety of conditions in which a person is born with a reproductive or sexual anatomy that doesn't seem to fit the typical definitions of male or female. And because of this, a lot of times people will undergo, especially in early childhood, undergo surgery to make their physical sex characteristics seem like the normal male or female, how society sees it. And then the last one is asexual, and asexual is just characterized by people who do not feel sexual attraction or desire for other people sexually. However, this does not mean that they are abstinent all the time, and some asexual people do have sex.
Some of the interesting statistics we found for these groups were, the first one is LGBT individuals have a 1.5 higher risk of depression and anxiety orders than heterosexual individuals. This goes to show that this is a very at-risk group and that we need to learn more about this group so we can better understand and better serve them in the higher education environment. Another interesting fact we found was a list of colleges ranked by LGBT friendliness. And some of the most friendly ones were New York University, Stanford University, and Emerson College. And another interesting fact was number 9 ranked is Prescott College here in Arizona.
So in terms of our method for data collection and analysis for this project, we connected with a lot of on-campus resources, and that includes student organizations and faculty organizations for students and faculty to receive resources. So one of the major student organizations serving LGBTQIA students is the Rainbow Coalition. It actually oversees 6 other LGBT plus friendly student organizations, and combined they about serve 1,500 students. The number of students directly involved just with Rainbow Coalition is 200. And they receive support by faculty and staff at ASU, and a lot of their funding for events that they put on, different programming, comes from undergraduate student government, as well as some departmental funding through EOS. There's also major university-wide organizations or services, that's the ASU Council Coalitions or Student Cultural Engagement, all kind of encompassed under Culture ASU, and then out at ASU, which is a part of Educational Outreach and Student Services. So both provide information on training and workshops and just different resources for staff and faculty to also share with students or to receive the training themselves so they can work with these students better, which includes information even on scholarships that are specific to the LGBT plus community. Additionally, part of our research was also connecting with different students and faculty on campus. So, of the 20 students and 4 faculty, 2 of which identify within the LGBTQIA spectrum, each shared their experiences as either members of the LGBTQIA Sun Devil community or with working with students who identify somewhere on the spectrum. It's important to note also that they encompass various identities along the spectrum, including like diverse cultural and ethnic identities. So about half of them represented different cultural identities, 6 of which were of Hispanic origin, 2 were African American, 2 Asian Pacific Islanders, and the rest were Caucasian. The overarching consensus focused on a need for exposure to on-campus and community resources. There's a lot of wealth of knowledge that's accessible to students and faculty within the community, but it's just really difficult to be able to know where to find all the information. And then 18 out of the 24 people also discussed the need for more resources for students and staff that represent areas of the spectrum that are less known, such as like intersex or asexual, as well as some that are not included in the acronym, which is pansexual. And then 21 of the 24 advocated for more resources for transgender members of ASU's community.
So along with our case study, we also did our own research on LGBT plus issues in higher education. And we did find some really interesting facts. The first 2 specifically about transgender students in higher education. So transgender students, as compared to their non-transgender counterparts and peers, are victim to higher rates of discrimination, marginalization, and harassment, much like other students who identify as LGBT+. And they also confront a number of challenges within campus environments, such as a proper access to healthcare and difficulties with sex-segregated facilities. And this is really important as we see across the country there are a lot more movements for gender-neutral bathrooms, gender-neutral housing, which we will talk about later in this video, and just more movements to be more transgender student-friendly. One alarming statistic we found is that more than half of LGBT students report that they felt unsafe in school because of their sexual orientation, and more than a third felt unsafe because of their gender expression, which we never want students to feel unsafe in school, because school should be a safe place where they can feel free to learn and be who they are and grow as adults. And then lastly, LGBT students have more negative perceptions of campus climates than their heterosexual counterparts. So all these different components that they're taking from their collegiate experience, all these different components from the discrimination and harassment to improper facilities, feeling unsafe, all of these accumulate to their overall perception of the campus climate. However, one statistic that really stuck out was from an article about K-12 LGBT students in Michigan public schools. And according to this article, 96% of Michigan K-12 LGBT students could name at least one member on the school staff who supported LGBT students. However, there are so many issues with them feeling lack of support from their peers and also from faculty and staff as well. So it makes us question, are we doing our jobs as educators, and are we providing enough resources and support and doing our job to make sure that our students are feeling safe and comfortable and not experiencing any feelings of discrimination or harassment? We believe these 3 student development theories best apply to the population of LGBTQIA students. These include Bronfenbrenner's ecological model, Cass's model of sexual orientation identity formation, and D'Augeley's model of lesbian, gay, and bisexual development.
On this slide, we see a diagram of Bronfenbrenner's student development theory for an LGBT student. At the center, we have the LGBT student, and immediately surrounding it is the microsystem. These are the people that the student has direct contact with on a daily basis. So it would be their partner, their professors, their LGBT friends, as well as their non-LGBT friends, and their parents. And then off to the side, we see the mesosystem possibilities. So these are interactions between different parts of the microsystem. So it could be interaction between the parents and the school, parents and the professors, interaction between non-LGBT friends and LGBT friends, as well as interactions between their partner and their parents.
And then the next part we have is the exosystem of the student. So these are things that may not directly affect the student, but are directly affecting parts of their microsystem. So what we have here is mass media, health services, whether or not they can get access to those things, extended family, so different people that are aunts, uncles, and everything like that. University resources, so different things that they may not have resources at their institution to help support them. And the city surrounding the university may or may not affect them depending on the inclusion that they feel in that part. And then for their macro system, one of the things that we put on there is anti-LGBT laws. So if there's certain laws that may hinder them, for example, North Carolina's law with discrimination against LGBT people, as well as the society's view of LGBT people, how they are treated in society overall, how people view them overall. And then the last thing we have is the chrono system. So this really just viewing LGBT people over time and how that has shifted and changed, whether in a positive light or a negative light.
So Cass's model is comprised of stages. So there's pre-stage 1 and then stages 1 through 6. Stages 1 through 6 are identified here, and pre-stage 1 is the stage where individuals perceive themselves as heterosexual and recognize that this is their preferred state of being, but however, as their perceptions change over time, conflict occurs between their self-concept, behavior, and the perceptions of others, which further moves them into stage 1 of identity confusion. And Cass's model is important to keep in mind in our practice, in that as students are growing up and they're going through college, they're figuring out themselves and how they identify in the world without any exterior influence from their parents or others from their past. So it's really important to know that this is also a process for students, that it's new and it's not always a for sure thing. It's not always coming out right away and saying, yes, I identify as part of this community. And there can be some conflicting feelings, confusion, and then different conflicting feelings of tolerating and accepting who they are. So it's a very large aspect of their life, and it's a large part of development. So we have to keep in mind that this is a very important process that they're going through, and we have to support that. Unlike Cass's model, D'Augely's model is not in stages, but it's rather in 6 interactive processes that involve different statuses in the development of lesbian, gay, and bisexual identity. And once again, just like Cass's model, it's a good thing to keep in mind as people are going through the process of figuring out who they are and dealing with different aspects of identity, not only with themselves, but their social identity, being an offspring, and also of becoming a lesbian, gay, bisexual offspring, and also with intimacy.
Hi, my name is Melissa Woodward, and I am an ASU grad student and a staff member at the ASU Tempe campus. I came out my senior year at ASU, so I did my undergrad here, and it was really because of the resources that I found available to me on campus that I was able to accept this about myself. So my first 3 years at ASU, didn't really understand the impact or overall effect that this was having on my ability to succeed in school and to really feel motivated and really take care of myself. And it wasn't until I kind of saw my motivation going down, struggling in my classes, and that I wasn't taking care of myself, that I was directed to go to counseling services, and through kind of a series of conversations, came to the realization that this was really severely impacting my overall well-being. So when I came to ASU, as most traditional college-age students, I was 18, and I was kind of limited in my scope of, cultural and diverse environments that I had been used to. And so for me, growing up as a Catholic and as a conservative, those are definitely 2 identities that, unfortunately, the stereotype around those is that they're not very LGBTQIA friendly. And so that also kind of impacted how comfortable I felt really accepting myself for a long time. But then as I got to know more people at ASU, and I was also exposed to a lot of my friends who are either openly out gay women or were in the process of coming out, that was really helpful as well, because I was able to kind of look at them and recognize a lot of similarities and have people I connected to that felt these feelings and also identified as the same gender as me, because I think prior to that, my only really exposure and understanding of the gay community was just of gay men. I didn't really understand the whole spectrum aspect of it. And so I think for me as a grad student, coming back to ASU and also working at ASU, I feel like it's important for us to really emphasize the value in sharing resources and knowing about, gender-neutral bathrooms on campus for transgender students, Rainbow Coalition, other different organizations for anyone on the spectrum to feel like they can connect with peers and just feel welcomed and have a community on campus. And also how to help students who maybe don't know how to have that next conversation. there comes a point of, yes, you can accept yourself, but then how do you have that conversation afterwards with, friends and family, what comes next after that, and, how to have those tough conversations, and what do you do if that conversation doesn't go well. And I definitely have experience kind of with both, with, losing friends and not having like very supportive family. And that's still something that's very difficult, but I think having the support that I do on campus has really made it more of a safe and welcoming environment that has helped me to really grow as an individual. So I think moving forward, it's really important for us to talk about those resources and make them available to all students on campus so that they feel safe and can accept themselves. So when we look at some of the challenges of LGBT plus Sun Devils, so some advice that was collected from a current and former ASU LGBT student, and specifically a transgender student. So something that can be worked on, and that what all institutions should be aware of, is bathroom accessibility and name accommodations. So many trans students actually don't know that they can hide their legal first names to the first letter of their legal name on my ASU and Blackboard with the registrar's office when they email and fill out a form. This is actually a really crucial way to protect them from not having to change their identity forms, but also not being outed. But students typically don't know that this is an option that exists. And then many other colleges have the option of having a preferred name show up online and having a preferred name on an ID badge instead. And then student time, classroom performance, and physical and mental health would improve if they knew where the bathrooms were that they could access. And the sole gender-neutral family bathroom in the Memorial Union on the Tempe campus can actually be occupied for up to 20 minutes at a time, forcing many students to miss class, to find another bathroom, waiting to use that bathroom, or kind of just holding it in while they're waiting to get through class, just so they can find a safe bathroom to use outside that building, so that they don't have to kind of worry about their safety.
Here at ASU, we have many resources that are available for LGBT students to go to and be able to feel like a community. There's a few of the big ones are Rainbow Coalition and LGBTQIA plus ASU Faculty and Staff Association, as well as Community at ASU. These organizations are places that resources that LGBT students can go to find community and find other people that they can connect with. As well as there are many health and wellness resources. There is the counseling services, and they have people there that are very qualified and experienced and experts in different resources that people in the LGBT community can go to, as well as the ASU Health Center, that they have that resource as well that they can go if they ever need anything health related.
So some of the resources that we have in the greater Phoenix area for LGBT students to contact in case they don't have the resource at ASU or need other resources outside of that. There's a couple of great ones. Tumbleweed Center is a resource that allows students that are unfortunately homeless to go to them and see what centers they can go to that are LGBT friendly, so they'll feel more comfortable in those centers. One Community is a great opportunity for businesses to come together to basically ban against discrimination in the workplace, safe spaces for people in the LGBT community to work there and give resources in that. And then every year, the city of Phoenix has the Phoenix Pride Festival, which is a weekend festival where a lot of celebrations happen through there, as well as the Rainbows Festival, which some of the coalitions at ASU go to and help sponsor there, giving resources out to students, and a lot of other community members go to those and show their support through that. And then other resources that are available to students, a couple of them are the Trevor Project, which specifically works and if any student or anyone is, especially that is identified as an LGBT student, is contemplating suicide, they can call the Trevor Project and talk to them and talk about those things. And then the LGBT Devils Pride Chapter, the ASU Alumni Association, gives out a scholarship every year to LGBT students. And then if parents are looking for resources and families looking for resources to work with parents of family and friends of lesbians and gays, Phoenix allows them to work to give resources on how to best work with students and as well as their.
So here is actually a map that was provided to me by a student that I have been talking to who identified as a transgender. and they talked about how there's so many different places on campus that you actually, on the Tempe campus, that you can access a gender-neutral bathroom. So all the areas in yellow are the ones that you're going to see that actually is listed as a gender-neutral bathroom. All the areas in purple are not. And then any of like the green areas is that it is a gender-neutral bathroom, but you have to access it with using your Sun card. And then another really cool thing, it's kind of the electronic version of that, is an app called Refugee. And this app is really helpful with helping find gender-neutral bathrooms basically anywhere in the world, not just ASU specific. And it uses location services to help detect where other users have dropped pins and described bathrooms within buildings. So it's a way to just document it and kind of retain that information. So this is a really useful app for people to use as well.
So one of the great options that we provide at ASU through housing is gender inclusive housing options at ASU. And as a large institution, this is really important for us to best work with students. So it is available at all 4 locations. If a student wants to live on campus, all they have to do, if they want to opt into gender neutral housing, they just need to email housing@asu.edu for those accommodations to be made. And then a follow-up appointment will be made with the student in order for them to get more information through the student in case to know what options are best for them. Just a couple of frequently asked questions that come with this process. This is completely free. There's no additional fee to opt into inclusive housing. It's just the regular cost of the room that the student will be provided in. Any type of student is eligible for this. So whether that is a first-year student, upperclassmen student, or a transfer student, that does not matter. All that matters is that the student is eligible to live on campus, they're a full-time student, and all that. This is FERPA compliant, so no information, if the student wishes to remain private in this, will be sent to the parents. So basically, if a student wants to live on campus but doesn't want their parents to know they're living in a gender-inclusive space, they are more than, ASU Housing will not release that to the parents unless that is part of the FERPA release on their MyASU.
So in terms of what resources are helpful for LGBT plus Sun Devils, so some information was collected from LGBTQIA students at ASU. What they felt was helpful was really the presence of student groups and community events and gatherings. Also, the amount of visibility on campus for students who feel comfortable enough to be themselves. And ASU also puts up a lot of banners for Pride Week and for Gender Awareness Week, and then a lot of hosting of official events, which tells those students that they are important to the ASU community. And then the Disability Resource Center also leaves LGBT plus posters up in their building all year round to show their support as well. And then Safe Zone, which is a specific training that people can take to do become allies and help students. And those stickers are on office doors. And even though those are kind of harder to find, it's helpful for students to know that they're entering a safe zone when they get to that classroom.
We see on this slide that Anderson does a very interesting study about student motivation in participating in student events and how much student engagement LGBT students have on campus. And the main driving question behind this study was, why would students who are socially stigmatized want to face the potential increasing the visibility of their identity on campus? And he looked at 5 different factors of motivation throughout this study with LGBT students. And the 5 factors were community, safety, identity, civic engagement, and education. And he found that of all these themes, community was one of the biggest ones because many students participated in these student events because they were seeking a type of community and a type of place where they could feel comfortable and open and free. That also tied into the safety and identity. Identity, he mentioned, was another major theme because a lot of these people, especially in college ages, are searching for identity, searching for who they are, and that was one of the big reasons that motivated them to go out and to participate in student engagement activities.
As higher education professionals, it's really important that we are advocates for our students. So our recommendations are ensuring transgender students are aware of gender-neutral bathrooms on campus, and also advocating for more gender-neutral facilities on campus as well in general across the university. We also want to advocate for Safe Zone training to be a mandatory training for all students, staff, and faculty. And there's also, we can do an online version of the training so it's more accessible and easier to facilitate rather than a 3-hour in-person training. We also believe it's important to integrate the Refuge app into the ASU Live Safe app through collaboration with the ASU Police Department. in order so students feel more safe on campus and things are more accessible to them. Our plan to be advocates for our students very much intertwines with our recommendations for future practices. So we'll advertise and integrate more programs that allow for transgender education, but also LGBTQIA education in general, especially because there are a lot of stigmas surrounding the LGBTQIA community. So we want this to be facilitated by staff and student organizations, just so that other students can be more educated about the community as a whole, collaborating and partnering with different events to be more inclusive overall. And I believe more inclusive policies is very significant and important because we have such a diverse population on campus. We want to bring different kinds of people together and learn how to work together for the future. We also believe it's important to provide counseling outlets for LGBTQIA students. A lot of times counseling is seen as more of a resource for people who have mental health disorders or are going through anxiety and depression and things like that. But I believe counseling can also be just an outlet for people who want to express their feelings to a third-party, unbiased opinion. So we want to provide that to students and let them know that it is okay just to talk to someone about how you are feeling, even if you don't have any questions or concerns. Again, we want to initiate more campus outreach in general, but also about name protection and accessibility to gender-neutral bathrooms, as well as keep on advocating for gender-neutral facilities as the transgender population becomes more prominent across the country. And overall, in general, making students know that it's okay to reach out and utilize different resources and use what's around you and connect with the community. So to wrap up, everything we've discussed is definitely applicable to our future careers in higher education, and especially in different functional areas that we may end up working in, such as residential life, academic advising, and student engagement. Remembering these theories and keeping these theories in mind also helps us to understand more of the complexity of the challenges students are facing, so we can better empathize with the process that they're going through. We also want to make sure we are doing our best to help them succeed as faculty and staff members, and helping us understand all these different concepts will help us be better support systems.
You can be